Hey everyone, welcome to today's video. My name's Stephanie and today we are looking at ILNP's Under the Sea collection. So this is ILNP's second summer collection of the season and it is a super sparkly one. We have a mix of different finishes from shimmers and flakies and holographics and even a new magnetic. So as always, I will save my thoughts for the end after comparisons. For now, let's get into the swatches. The first shade in the collection is Blowing Bubbles, and this one is described as a rich sky blue ultra holo. So this one is my favorite from the collection. It is just such a beautiful, stunning, mesmerizing shade. If you're familiar with ILNP, you know their ultra holos are just so eye-catching and dazzling, and I feel like this one is no exception. This also had a great formula where it was very full coverage on the first coat, but you can see some areas near the tips of my nails that were just a little bit light and not fully opaque, but a second coat covered everything right up. And you can see this is just such a blinding shade. I'm not even in direct sunlight and you can still see the holo, and I feel like there's this extra sparkle going on too, so it almost gives it an icy look. The next shade in the collection is Sea Glass, and this one is a deep cobalt blue shimmer. So before I get into the color and description, I am going to struggle with the formula a little bit on the first coat, but it is totally user error. The formula wasn't bad at all. I just kind of had like the air conditioner turn on and I didn't grab enough polish, so it was a little bit messy, but formula aside, this one is such a stunning color. I feel like this cobalt blue has just been so trendy this season, and I love this polish because of that. It is just so beautiful, but I don't think I would call it a shimmer though. I feel like it's a very, very tiny microflake kind of formula, but still gorgeous. For the actual microflake formula though, we have Paradise, and this one is described as a tropical teal green jelly base with vibrant emerald metallic flakies and green shimmer. So this is definitely a gorgeous shade that I wish I loved more. I think this is just a little too green for me and not as teal as I would like it, so it sort of is giving me Christmas vibes. But I'm hoping the more that I wear it and I see it on other people, I'll see more of the teal or something. I'm not really sure, but my color preferences aside, this one actually is a gorgeous shade. It builds up beautifully on 2 coats alone. I didn't do a third because I just didn't find it necessary. Those metallic flakies are stunning. The next shade in the collection is Hidden Treasure, and this one is described as a glimmering purple holographic jelly that is absolutely packed with these beautiful glowing golden flakies. So this is another one that is really sheer on the first coat, but does still provide even coverage for the most part. I don't think I would wear this in just one coat though, but like a lot of ILNP shades, they just look better when they are layered in at least 2, but usually 3 coats. This one, I found it to be really nice and opaque for me on 2 coats, probably because it is a little bit of a darker purple kind of base. And that gold microflake in here is just so beautiful. I love the contrast. It is just such a unique shade for the summertime. The next shade we have is Sandbar, and this one is described as a sheer sandy beige magnetic holographic. So this one was unfortunately a bit of a letdown for me personally because I was really looking forward to it. I loved how it looked in the bottle, but once I did the cat eye effect to it, it just wasn't really working for me. As you can see, this one is just a very sheer jelly base, and it just was very different than what I was expecting. Usually ILNP magnetics are creamier and can build to be fully opaque in like 2 coats, but they still have a lot of dimension. So I was sort of expecting that and just got something totally different. I would say this one is definitely one of the most subtle magnetics that ILNP has come out out with. I feel like the shimmer and the extra hollow sparkle outside of the magnetic strip is just very subtle and dainty, and I just wish that I liked it more. But funny enough, I actually do really like this, but not as a magnetic polish. So here it is with just 2 coats applied as is, no magnetic wand anywhere near my finger. And I love how this looks so much more. So I'm doing a 3rd coat just to show you how that builds up. You still see a decent amount of nail line because this is still a jelly base, but I just really love how this shimmer looks. So I kind of wish this wasn't a magnetic, but I also tried to do the velvet effect with this shade because normally when it comes to these jelly magnetics, I find that they can have a really beautiful velvet effect. And admittedly, I haven't done velvet nails in several months, so maybe I was just a little rusty, but it just wasn't really working for me. Normally, I can just do my little hack of holding the magnet on one side of my nail as I'm painting, and then once I finish the coat, I move the magnet to the other side, and that alone usually gives me a nice velvet effect. But I didn't really get it with this one, so I'm moving the magnet all around my nail, and I just didn't really love the finished look. I think there is potential though. This could be user error, but it does have a really pretty sparkle. I feel like it kind of gives me cinnamon sugar vibes, but yeah, overall, I just love this with no effect. And rounding out the collection, we have Ariel, and this one is described as a vivid lobster red shimmer. This one I would call more of a microflake, similar to Sea Glass, where it's that jelly formula and it's just packed with these tiny gold, I'm not sure if they're metallic, I would call them maybe iridescent microflakes, but either way, they are just so glowy and so beautiful. This one had a really great formula where it was really even coverage on the first coat. I just ended up giving myself a bald spot, but it built up beautifully on 2 coats. I think you still see a hint of nail line, but personally, I don't find it necessary to do a 3rd coat because there are just so many of those little flakies that it just catches the light and sort of distracts from any visible nail line. And here's the lineup of the collection. I feel like it's just so cute and beachy. Like you immediately get those under the sea kind of vibes. I think they nailed the theme for this one. Now moving on to comparisons, we're starting with Blowing Bubbles and of course looking at it next to Holo Taco's Hydropower, which is their bright sky blue linear holographic. So from the bottle shots alone, you can definitely see that they are very similar shades of blue. They both have that strong linear holographic effect, but ILNP does have this extra silver, reflective, metallic type of flaky in there, so it just creates a little bit more sparkle. But I would say the Holo is stronger in ILNP. Next for Sea Glass, I wanted to quickly show this next to Invite Only from the New Year's Eve collection last winter. It was the first shade that I thought of from ILNP because it was like this really bright blue, but as you can see, they are just totally different shades, so definitely not dupes. But here it is next to Mooncat's House of Hades, which literally just launched and also sold out. It is that same bright cobalt blue. I was honestly kind of surprised to see how similar these are, especially when it comes to that very small microflake formula. And I also wanted to show this next to Olive F's Coastal from their recent summer collection. This one is another vibrant cobalt blue jelly base, but this one has more of a true shimmer particle as opposed to the micro flaky particle. So on the nail, you can definitely tell them apart. House of Hades does have more of that deeper indigo base color, so it does look a little bit more purple compared to these other two. And I would say Coastal is just a little bit more opaque, while Sea Glass is the most jelly of these bases. So while they might be pretty similar, they're not dupes. Then for Paradise, the first shade that I thought of was Zoya's Merida, which I recently shared as one of my favorite greens. This one definitely has a similar vibe with like that deep green metallic flake formula, but it is a little bit deeper. And here it is next to Good Fortune, which is also from the New Year's Eve collection. It was just another vibrant green shade with that glowy green shimmer, but it's not a flaky like Paradise, so these are also very different. So once they're on the nail, you can actually see how teal Paradise is in comparison to these other two more true greens. So yeah, these are definitely not dupes, but again, kind of similar vibes with the tiny microflake formula. And obviously Paradise is also the most jelly. Next, for Hidden Treasure, I had to show this next to Fairy Dust from the Fairy Forest collection earlier this year. I definitely had that deja vu moment when I first saw Hidden Treasure, but they are definitely not dupes. They are really different, actually. So on the nail, you can see just how much deeper Hidden Treasure is when it comes to that purple base color. I feel like in Fairy Dust, it's just so much lighter, like almost like a gray kind of tone to it, and the shimmers are also different colors. Next, for Sandbar, I wanted to quickly show this next to Holo Taco's Haute Couture, which is their crushed holographic formula. These are definitely very different. I just thought maybe the shimmer in Sandbar would be a little bit similar, but yeah, obviously not dupes. So for closer comparisons, I have to show it next to Fawn, which was also from the Fairy Forest collection. This one is another brown magnetic, but it's much deeper and warmer. And I also have to show it next to Cirque's Lyra, which is from the Heavenly Bodies collection earlier this year. This is definitely the closest in terms of color and formula, but as you can see, it's a little bit more cooler toned, but still pretty similar. So on the nail, I have 2 coats of each, and you can see right away, Fawn is just in its own category, it just does not compare. So it really is between Sandbar and Lyra. I would say that Sandbar is definitely the most sheer out of the two, but they both still have jelly formulas. They have the same magnetic shimmer. The only thing is that Lyra is missing that extra holographic sparkle. And lastly, for Ariel, I wanted to quickly show this next to Ruby from the New Year's Eve collection because I really loved that red when it came out, but I just forgot how deep it was. So for a closer comparison, I have Mooncat's Shroomdom from the Lost in a Folktale collection. This is definitely the most similar when it comes to that bright, juicy primary red jelly base and these golden kind of flakies. And I also wanted to show it next to Zoya's Sofia, and this one is another bright primary red. It doesn't have micro flakies, but it does have this golden kind of shimmer, so I thought they were similar in that way. But yeah, on the nail, I would say that they're all actually pretty similar because they have that same kind of red jelly vibrant base with that golden shimmer type of particle in them. I think I would say that Ariel is closer to Shroomdom because of that micro flaky kind of particle, but it also has that golden shimmer that Sofia does, so it's kind of like the perfect mix of these two. So that wraps up my swatches and comparisons for ILNP's Under the Sea collection. So as always, I would love to know what your thoughts are on this release because I definitely think it's fun. I love how shiny and twinkly these shades are. Like, they all catch the light so beautifully and have a really pretty glow and sparkle to them. So I love that. I'm a sucker for that type of finish, especially in the warmer months. And as far as the theme, I mean, it's just so on point. Like, you get immediate beach, under the sea kind of vibes with this color palette. So I feel like they nailed it, but in a way, I feel like it's, you know, kind of basic. It's not like the most unique theme that we've seen. And I'm definitely holding on to the summer vibes. I know some people are already moving on to the fall collections, and I just cannot, I cannot fathom that right now. Like, we only just started getting like hotter actual summer weather. I feel like the first half of summer was super gloomy. Like, we've had so many rainstorms and thunderstorms, and I just don't love that. So I'm still enjoying summer, and I'm gonna be holding on to these shades and using them before I move on to the fall collections, probably like a month from now. But I do think it is a fun release overall, even though I still was a little bit disappointed by Sandbar being the magnetic. I just wish I loved it more as a magnetic. Honestly, it reminds me a lot of the Cirque magnetics, where they have that super jelly kind of formula, and they just don't build up to opacity. And I've learned that I'm just not really a fan of that finish when it comes to magnetics. I prefer the more opaque kind of ones, and I feel like ILNP has done a great job with those in the past, where they are very opaque, but they don't cover up the magnetic shimmer or the extra flakies that are in there. So this was like kind of a step backwards, but in my opinion, I know some people really love the Cirque magnetics and how they are jellies and whatnot. So you'll have to let me know what you think of that one, if that's like forgivable or whatever. But yeah, let me know any and all thoughts that you have down below so we can chat about it. But thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.